So right now in South Africa, there is this case that's going on of this young lady, Joslin, went missing, and the people that were meant to be at the care of this child right now are at the custody of the police, and they are being held because on suspicion that they might have had something or a hand in the disappearance of this young child. And I wanted to talk about it because they were subjects of trafficking, and also maybe they sold her for 20,000 or something like that, along those lines, for ritual practices and all those things. So there's also Ndumbarization that comes into the subject. In Ndumbing, it's like going, consulting spirits and all those things. So in order for them to use parts and what to do herbs and like those type of weird things. And so that subject comes into play into this because of that aspect. Now, I wanted to talk about this particular subject of the story of this young girl. Before I actually do so, because the case is still ongoing, there's a verse I want to read when it brings in the subject of the parents now, or the people that were adults who were supposed to be in care of this child, who are now in the custody of the police. There's a verse in Genesis of something that God said to Cain. When God found Cain angry after doing his sacrifice, Cain was angry. And so God said things to warn Cain of what it would mean for you to remain in that particular position of anger. It would mean something. It would result into something. Sometimes poverty drives an anger or a response that results into, some people it drives them to crime, some people it drives them to wickedness, some people it drives them to pure-hearted devilish practices. The police will determine which one is which. But look at what Cain's position was, and you will see just about the same thing that I see in this situation. It says, Cain, why are you very wrathful? His countenance had fallen, and the Lord said unto Cain, this is what it says, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Why is it that in your appearance there is this anger portrayal? Why is it so? Which shows you, because I'm poor, it doesn't justify evil practices. It doesn't justify that I become anyhow and portray myself as a devilish person towards other people to better myself because I'm in a bad position. Okay? So why art thou wroth? Why is your countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? So meaning there is a right way of applying yourself. There is a right way of applying yourself, whether it be jobs or a business or habits. Because the viewpoint of many people is that these people might have had some type of addictions and stuff like that, so they sold the child off for that. That's kind of like the conversation at the point. Don't create a situation of anger where you feel like your expression can devalue other people. And then it goes on to say, if you do the right thing, will you not be accepted? Okay? So there is a right in the wrong that you want to. If you do the right, will it not be accepted? Okay? If thou do not well, sin lies at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So if you are not careful, sin lies at the door. If you feel in your anger or being displeased are justified in whatever method you will come up with in order to, I'm poor, I need to elevate myself, or whatever your justification, if you start thinking like that, he says sin lies at the door. The devil has your number at the door, and he will rule over you. You are not careful. The devil will have rule over you if you are not careful. The Bible says the heart of man is terribly wicked, and who can know it? And what does that present us with? It presents us with the fact that man in his ways can be incredibly wicked. Man in his ways can subject himself to all forms of practices that men are not even, that some of us are not even ready to have a communication about. This verse here actually shows you the things that some of us even think we are not capable of, because we don't realize what the Bible means when it says the heart of man is terribly wicked. Who can know it? It's telling us that our heart has room to create an environment of chaos. We can create an environment of chaos because we are displeased, because we are angered, because we feel we are entitled to something. In the position where one feels he has the right, who's to say he doesn't? And you see, at that point where right is no longer right, and you are now open to wickedness, that's where the verse says, sin lies at the door, and you will fulfill its desire. So now there's all these people that are communicating with spirits, speaking with spirits, talking about ritual practices and ritual forms. And they have confirmed for themselves, or they have affirmed a certain line of behavior or rituals that they can do in order to have a certain outcome. So what do? They present that to people and say, you will be of benefit should you do this. And in listening to the spirits, people have submitted themselves to the will of the devil. Sin has its way, and the desires of sin is what they fulfill. Murder, stealing, all this behavior is an expression of the desires of what lies at the door. The question is, which one is at your door? Some people have taken out life policies. You killed other people's children because you, at your position of entitlement, someone had to go in order for you to enrich yourself. You are no different. Sin had its rule over you. Money was the root of the evil that took over your heart. Its desire you will fulfill. That is Genesis for you. And isn't it funny that though people like to dismiss the Bible and all that, these particular words hold true. Genesis chapter number 4 is exactly what we are seeing. Genesis chapter number 4 verse 5 up until verse number 7. If you do not watch over the things that you feel entitled to, your areas of no satisfaction, allowing all forms of practices, addictions, and all these things, it will create room for the devil to rule over. And that's what I saw in the story. People that might have potentially allowed the devil to have rule because they were listening to, because of one person who might have been listening to whatever spirit told them to do certain practices or rituals, and that's what you got yourself involved in. Sin lies at the door, and over you it will run if you do not watch over your areas of entitlement. It's the Rich Reality Show, the daily Christian commentary videos. Which area rules over you? Which area has its desire to rule over you? It's a question we should ask ourselves.